in that ballroom as he yelled and cursed. He could still hear the echoes of the screams from the crowd around them as he punched Jamal in the face in a fit of rage near the hotel's elevators. Did he regret what he'd done? He certainly regretted the aftermath. He did love Morgan and hadn't wanted her to think otherwise. He had wanted to make a good impression on John and Eliza Mayhew, the wealthy couple whom Morgan had arranged for him to meet at the gala, in the hope that they would donate money to the Institute. Derrick hadn't wanted to squander either opportunity. But how was he expected not to lash out, to not feel anything about Jamal's betrayal? He was only human. Any red-blooded man in a similar situation probably would have done the same damn thing. Derrick just wished he hadn't done it so publicly. He wished Morgan hadn't been there. He shouldn't have been so reckless or stupid. When he arrived at his apartment building 20 minutes later, he pulled into a vacant space, slowly opened his car door, and staggered onto the sidewalk. His head was still pounding. He still felt like he needed sunglasses to keep out the morning sun. A couple of minutes later, he shoved open his front door, revealing an eerily quiet apartment. He didn't expect Morgan to be there, even though she had moved in with him briefly. They were both supposed to move into their new apartment in a few weeks in Brookland, near Gallaudet University. It would have been the first place they had gotten together. Morgan's lease at her apartment had ended earlier than his. She had been staying here until their big move. Until I fucked that up, he thought morosely, as he closed the apartment door behind him. Derrick had managed to lose 2 women and a cat in less than 6 months. He was certain of it now. He was horrible at relationships. He walked down the hall to his bedroom, removing his tie from around his neck and his jacket along the way. After he'd stripped off all his clothes, he looked at himself in the bathroom mirror, pulling back his dreads and securing them with a rubber. Derrick hadn't been the one hit last night, but his eyes were puffy, probably from the lack of a good night's sleep. Fatigue was all over his mahogany-hued face. He flexed his sore hand, climbed into the shower stall, and adjusted the shower head from the last time Morgan had used it, making it accommodate his tall height. He felt the hot blast of the water, hoping to wash away the frustration and shame he felt. Derrick emerged from the bathroom 30 minutes later, having brushed his teeth and taken some aspirin. When he did, he heard a thumping sound in his bedroom. He walked down the hall and found Morgan hunched over one of the drawers, shoving some of her clothes into a duffel bag. She was no longer wearing her gown from last night, but a t-shirt and shorts. Her curly hair was in a loose bun atop her head. He leaned against the door frame as he watched her. It was obvious she was unaware he was standing there because she went about her task without even giving him a glance. He had been through this before, when Melissa had packed her things and moved out, after she found out he had been cheating with Morgan for months. But watching Morgan go through the same ritual hurt even more. This was supposed to be the start of something new and fresh. This was supposed to be the relationship he had finally gotten right. There was no tug-of-war with Morgan like what he'd experienced with Melissa, even in their best of times, because, though they'd loved each other, they were too different at heart. With Morgan, everything fell into place, and he had ruined it. His phone rang, snapping her attention, making her turn around to look at his cell that sat on one of the night tables. When she did, her eyes landed on Derrick, and she held up her free hand. "I don't want to talk," she said as the phone rang again. She returned her attention to her packing. "I just want to get some of my shit and get the hell out of here. I'll come back for the rest later, okay?" "I didn't hear you come in." "You weren't supposed to," she muttered. "Where are you staying?" She didn't answer him. Instead, she continued to pack. "Morgan, don't do this, baby. Look, I know what I did last night was fucked up," he began, tightening the towel around his waist and walking toward her. "But I want you to know, I need you to understand."